Hey everyone. Um, Welcome to the stream. We have Viper with us. Viper, you
Hello,
should
guys.
wave. Thank you. And we have Halina
Hello.
and we have Dylan.
Hola.
Nice. So let me just check if it's up and running everywhere. That is me.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, we're live.
All good.
Super. So we are still fundraising for a vehicle for Viper Skies. They are in Pacross direction, and our goal is 15,000 USD. We are at 52% of the way there, so we're almost half. Well, no, we're past halfway. So we just need $7,167.08 still. Then we have that one closed, and then we can start with the next fundraiser, because we have another vehicle request from a guy in Third Assault, and so it never stops. But yeah, we also still have the RPG raffle going on. So tickets for that is $500 for a ticket, because it's like a big item. And we will have the raffle once we have 20 like unique entries. Right now we have 12 tickets are sold, and we have 8 people who have donated. So what I've done is, from November to now, up until we have the raffle, I count all the donations that you've made, and if that adds up to $500, then you're into the draw. So it doesn't have to be like a once-off 500, because that is a lot of money. Yeah, so today we are going to talk about civilians who stay in the frontline areas, and it's actually how Project Constantine started. Pete was already in Ukraine. He was fighting there, and then Tanya found out that her godmother's village is no longer receiving any aid. They're just other side of Bakhmut, where that village. They weren't receiving aid any longer, and no one wanted to go there. So she asked around and got introduced to Pete, and they did this humanitarian mission to supply her hometown. And that's how how Project Constantine started. So it's kind of like an interesting, and as I was preparing for this, it hit me yesterday. I'm like, oh wait, this is how we started, right? So yeah, we are dealing with 1/3 of Ukraine's population has been uprooted from their homes. That is the stats from the UN High Commissioner for Refugees. You're looking at 3.7 million internally displaced people, with more people outside of the country. But today we're going to talk about people who don't leave their hometown and their reasons for not leaving it, and also what or how that impacts operations for soldiers. Yeah. So, Halina, PK was operating in. You sent me the name of the place, and I still cannot pronounce it. Yes, we were operating there, and you asked people there why they are still there, because they're within drone range, they're within artillery range. What did they tell you?
Yeah, it was at the time 2024 spring. Um, the village was full of militaries, and lady in which house we were staying, she was our neighbor in another house, and this was house of her mother. And she said, "Look, my family is serving. All our men are serving, like my son and my husband. So we decided to be in this village at first because family is here, and second, people who leave their houses here, they gave keys, and this woman was like dealing with militaries to give rent for houses around, and she was 24/7 ready to invite soldiers in her home when there wasn't any place, just to wash their clothes, to dry it and give back and sleep borsch and like try to find place for them. It's like huge service, and she understood value of this because her family is the same situation. But I also was cooking during day, and I understand that while I'm like cutting potato, doing chicken, land is jumping under legs, like under feet of artillery, of going out of our artillery. Yeah, and it's like okay, the situation in this place, it it haven't bothered me a lot. I have to be like simple, easy with this. I don't have to react. It's like if she can leave, I also will try. So I spent 3 days, and during these 3 days, I saw not so many civilians. I met at shop some civilians, but it was like mature people, eldest people, but mostly it's military. Every third house was actually 67 brigade. So I know because in different departments of 67s and come to us as they took generators and EcoFlow during 3 days and chocolates from John Hill. So we are just giving. It's like, ah, it's so amazing that we can just come and take and like nothing, just come and take. It was amazing time where people like our donators, partners, they could bring technique without any documents. It was so amazing and easy, yeah. But also we understood that this technique will not go somewhere because all these guys are in ISO. So yeah,
Yeah.
civilians were there for serving. It's like very. It's one example, but it's beautiful example. Yeah, I know that. Another one in Slaviansk. I was shocked. Again, 2024, but it was late autumn. That restaurant food was it's so high quality. I didn't try this even in Kiev and in Odessa, and it was like uh, for soldiers because soldiers it's not a restaurant, it's cafe like fast food but not fast. It was borscht, it was pampushki, it was everything draniki, Ukrainian food, normal food, salads, Ukrainian salads, but they were so tasty because these people living in Sloviansk is this pushing and all the time stress. They were serving, not sailing, just yeah, not using possibilities to sell everything, but they did best what they could, and it was amazing. In coffee shop, they guys had barista. Yeah, they had like small talks with other soldiers because I've been there with Shum at the time. We did cars documents with him, and it's like just to see that people they take care. Yeah, they take care. And even Shum said, Blin, after 21 days sitting on the ground in analytics job, 20 hours job every day, yeah, sleeping for, to come in such places and just to see that it's have matter, people have matter to them. It's bringing energy, attitude bringing energy. Frontline cities and villages is some spirit which we can't meet in the like middle of Ukraine here in Odessa. It's not so. common. Even in queuing shop, not always military are going the first, unfortunately. And I can say that sometimes I just cannot pay attention that near me guy in multicam, yeah, and just don't think. But in frontline cities, it's another situation.
Yeah, that's actually amazing. So I do just want to say we did get some donations in. So Helena, when you talk, people donate. That is good to know, and that means you need to come on the stream more. So Linda Hayes donated £50,
Thank
and
you.
then Terence donated 50 Canadian dollars. Um, sending geese bucks to liberate Ukraine from Rick Rollers and Dylan's Dildos in Canada, Slava Ukraini, and a free Krim.
Uh,
So those your people, Dylan?
Yeah, look, I didn't impose that name upon them. They took it. I disagreed with it. I objected every stage of the way, but that's what they took, and I can't stop them. Free speech. It's a free country.
Love it, love it. Yeah. So thank you guys for that donations. Um, Dylan, I did not see that you put out a Bukrov's documentary, but I am going to watch it this week now that I know of it. Um, when you were filming this, what was like, did you experience something similar to what Helena explained?
There were a lot of people, especially in Dobrapila. I spent a lot of time. I mean, a lot of people going to Pokrovsk would stop in Dobrapila. It was a node in the transportation there, and the people there were very supportive of not only the military, but of press, of aid workers, and when there was any disaster, like a drone hit a house or a missile hit something, and there's some tragedy, it would be within like 30 minutes. It wouldn't just be that they tried to get whoever was in the house out of the house, tried to get the medical attention, but they would start getting like wood planks and start boarding up windows, start boarding up the house, start repairs within 30 minutes to an hour. As soon as the smoldering stopped, repairs essentially started immediately. And this is true as of every time I've gone to the front line in that direction. In Dobrapila right now, the destruction is so bad that repairs are essentially meaningless. I saw some graffiti out of there recently that said something along the lines of "Russia destroyed our homes, we will not forgive." So because they're by being 5 to 10 kilometers in the front line, your homes just start getting destroyed one by one due to the artillery bombardment. It's just so overwhelming that a missile bombardment from 30, 50 kilometers away, these drone bombardments, they do damage, but once you get within that 15-kilometer kill range, your communities start to get murdered. They get burnt from inside out. And so before that point, and even up until that point, there will be people repairing up until the very end. And really, a lot of times when I talk to people who evacuate near the end, it's like, look, I repaired my house 7 times. I feel I had one wall just boarded up with a wood plank. I had the other, like my couch was pushed against the wall where there was a hole. I did this, I did that, but it just was impossible. There's just, for some people, it's stubbornness. For some people, it's a dedication to the community. For some people, it's I've lived here for 70 years. You're not going to make me leave here. Nobody else made me leave here. I didn't leave last time. Why would I leave this time? They said it was going to be bad last time, and it was bad. But obviously, right now, the scale of destruction is much worse. And so, like, for some people, they don't realize the difference. If they've seen it before in the scale of the destruction. And for others, they just they refuse to leave due to just dedication to either their personal home, their community, up until the last moments. Of course, that's not everybody. There's people who stay back because they believe that once the Russians take over, the fighting will stop. That has not been the case so far, but that is a belief that continues to be within pockets of these communities. But it's really hard for me to get a good estimation of what these cities believed before the war, because I always feel like I'm coming to like a crime scene, because I've never seen Ukraine in peacetime. I really wish I did see Ukraine in peacetime. So it's kind of hard to measure the demographics of what these people believe, because by the time I get there, 90% of the people are gone. The people who are left are either extremely stubborn, are extremely dedicated to their community, and they're like guarding over their neighbor's property, or they're waiting for the Russians to take over.
Yeah. I think, yeah, that is scary to think that, you know, Helena, what was Ukraine like before Russia invaded?
What was Ukraine like?
Yeah,
What do you mean?
what was life in Ukraine before Russia invaded?
I don't remember 2014.
Yeah, and I mean that is the scary thing to think, right? That
Mhm.
um, there are people who alive who have only known this, who have only known this, who have only known war.
I even can't say how I will live if we will have peace now. So because for years I don't know what I will do. Like it's simple question. Yeah, I will live, but how I will live, I can't imagine. So because of adaptative system, yeah, of every person and of nation actually. For now, we got this reason to live, to fight, to look for win, and I don't remember how did we live. We were a growing nation. No, we we were a growing nation, so we were in period of everyday changing, and we were looking for neighbors like Poland and like. One day we also will be so strong and independent and like rich country because everywhere everyone was looking. Can we work there? Can we work there? Yeah. So basically we understood that we are nation, like nation, united nation now. For example, this respect to flag, crying during listening gym of Ukraine, it like wasn't popular and it wasn't touchful, and it wasn't like in every flat you will see flag. For now probably 50% we have flags of Ukraine, and yeah, and even in of our city, yeah, I have flag of Odessa also. So something was born new, like patriotism. I don't know, patriotic.
Patriotism. So, yeah.
Yeah, and value of unity. Um, but I think we are going on cycles, like fighting Russians, fighting some another empire again, fighting Russians, fighting Germany, fighting Russians. Everyone. It's cycle.
You just never want peace, Halia. Like it just proves you guys don't want peace. You just always want to fight.
Yeah, from psychological point, we have always looked for our 1% of responsibility. If we will accept that there is one, maybe there is more than one, maybe 2 or 5 or 50% of responsibility, what is going on? But we have crazy neighbors.
Yeah.
So it's something behind psychology. It's already psycho theories, but not about us.
The other ones.
Yeah.
I want to just do some shout outs. Thank you, Kazim, for becoming a member and for the $20 super chat. And let me check here. And Robert donated £100. Thank you so much, Robert. You weren't here at the start, but what I've done is I've added up like everything that starts, every donation starting on the 1st of November up until we eventually have the raffle of the RPG tube. If that amount adds up to to $500 or more, then you're entered into the raffle. So even before this £100 donation, you were already in the raffle. So thank you. Also, Dylan, Kazim says you sent him and it is your fault that he is here. So thank you very much for that. Viper, you sent me a video a while ago of your guys doing... do you want me to first play the video and then, or do you want to give us intro?
You can play the video and I can actually explain what you're looking at.
Okay, let's do that. Okay, so I did slow this down to like, I think it was 80% or something that I just slowed it down because
Okay.
it was
Yeah, no
quite,
problem.
yeah,
I'll be the narrator. Yeah.
fantastic. Okay.
Okay, so there you can actually see 3 civilians. That is in a very, it's about 4 kilometers from the front line. But there's sometimes fighting in between us and the Russians in that village. So you can actually see them walk, and then you can see there's my guys busy with clearance missions. So guys can imagine how difficult it is for us to be able to operate while there's civilians, because you're on a heightened alert. At any given stage, at any given point, you can see the destruction, guys. So, speaking what Dylan said, that is literally how the town looks. There's nothing almost left of it. It's rubble. There's some houses, but I mean, most of them are destroyed. So, those civilians in that area, you can see it's a crossing of a road, and they literally, my guys are coming, crossing the road and doing clearances. So for people that's not in a military state, I can actually just explain. Clearances would mean that we go from block to block to block to block, and literally each and every home make sure that there's no unwanted orcs in either one of the cellars or one of the garages or whatever is still standing or not standing. Sometimes they like rats. They like to dig in. So the problem that we sit with is, you can imagine you in a formation and you hyper tense, because it's a very tense situation. You can take contact from the enemy at any given stage, and here's 3 random people walking in the street. So immediately my guys would have pointed, but then see it's civilians and then just lowered. But then you can imagine that breaks concentration as well. So it's very, very dangerous for civilians to be in operational areas. And it's not only making our life difficult. The other thing that we sit with is, we never know, we had instances where they were giving positions, intelligence to the Russians, where then we need to do an arrest and actually remove that person from the area. We had, in this instance, in this specific area that we had a cab coming in and killing 1 civilian. And then all of a sudden, of the 25 civilians that's still in the area, 4 of them wanted to be evacuated. So we had to make a plan. And guys, this is not an area, I don't want to say like Dopropelia, because this is an area where literally there's active firing, active artillery, active drones all the time. So you can imagine how difficult it is then to try and get them out. I mean, my guys are trained to move. There's no access for a vehicle to go into this town. We literally drop outside the town, undesignated area, where my guys then infill, moving from building to building, and using the tools that we've got. Now we have to take those 4 civilians, and then they don't want just to move. They want to bring the album that they had. They want to bring pretty much their whole life, and now they want to exfil. Now you can understand what difficult situation is it. But we managed to get it done, but with great difficulty. And it exposes us to such a large threat unnecessarily. Because now anybody that has ever spent quite some time in the front line, if you ask them what is the most dangerous thing you can do in your job, they will tell you to infill and exfil. That's the most dangerous, because logistic routes are very well screened and very well observed. So you can imagine, we had to arrange evacuation for those people. And it's not like it's a 21-year-old person that's still active and healthy and can run when we say run and stop and go to ground, and none of that is happening. So it's literally a prayer moment. I can't describe it different than that. I mean, I've said it before. Our previous area of operations, our headquarter, our command headquarter, frontal command headquarter, was past a civilian house that was occupied by a woman. And like you can imagine us busy looking for drones, looking for artillery coming in, ducking, and then this dog is barking at me, and I'm like just want to shoot it to shut up so that I can focus on the drones. And I had to pass that dog every time I went in. And then, funny enough, all the optic lines will lie in a field, but in the mornings, around about 9, she would go outside and she would go and garden. And every piece of flying. So I think she was such a good resident that even the Russians decided she's not worth it. But I mean, yeah, and she was in that area and just refused to leave. And somehow, I mean, her house didn't get targeted. So that raises suspicion again from us. Like, okay, but why they're not interested in you? What's going on here? But it's difficult. So, yeah, I mean, it's a difficult scenario, Jana. It's not very easy to operate in area with these civilians. I prefer tree lines. Being honest with you, tree lines, forests, those are very good areas to fight in. But as soon as you get stuck in lightly dense populated area, it becomes very difficult, because you can imagine your firing site for a tree line is either the space of the tree line is what you need to observe. When you go into CQB, what we call as a close quarter combat, you need to have a 360 view the whole time of your movement, the whole time. But you don't only have to look at 360 degrees, you need to look 180 up as well, the whole time for drones. Artillery coming in. And now you've got some random civilians that's in your fire path. Or I've had not me personally, but a good friend of mine had an instance in one of the cities where there was actually civilians walking in between the fire, between them and the Russians. So they had to stop firing, lower weapon, okay, and wait for the civilian to pass to continue shooting again.
Wow.
So yeah, it's you can imagine. And it's not like we're playing cowboys and crooks as children, guys. This is live ammunition. Might have taken a hit, or you've almost taken a hit, and then you need to pause. You can imagine the adrenaline, the focus, everything. You're in the zone, and then all of a sudden, whoa! Now you need to, and then to get to that intensity again. It takes your mind to get you there.
And I know you teach your guys, and you spend quite some time to teach them about the international
IAWA. Yes, international law on conflict. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you want to know about IAWA?
So how does, obviously that plays a big that impacts how you deal with civilians
Yes.
in these areas. How
does it work?
Yeah.
How do we operate? What's okay? So now, okay, Jana, take that. So the law states that any person that is unarmed and have no military gear or no military clothing is classified as a civilian. It's protected under the Geneva Convention. What you can do is detain the person that is within law. You can detain that person for investigation, and from investigation, that person then would either be set free or could actually then face consequences. But you cannot use any force, only when your life is threatened. by that civilian. So when we speak about civilian and combatant, so once a person becomes a combatant, okay. So for instance, and it's very tricky, guys, it's not so easy as black and white. Say for instance, I see an ambulance driving towards me, okay? According to the our law, I'm not allowed to engage that. Am I correct? But say the ambulance driver is shooting towards me. Am I allowed to engage that ambulance or not?
I don't know. You're the one. I assume so.
Yes, you are, because it became a combatant, because it's taking actively part in the operation of combat. That's how you stipulate a combatant or not. But now imagine these three people walking, okay, no plate carrier, no helmet, and all of a sudden they pull AKs. And that has happened because the Russians do not adhere to the Geneva Convention. They will go to civilian clothes, infiltrate into the area, pose as a civilian, okay, and start feeding intelligence, and then start accumulating, and they will get a vampire drop with the equipment, and then all of a sudden you're sitting with Russians within your area of operations.
I think Carlito actually mentioned that, where he said also Russian soldiers try to dress like civilians. He saw some reports about it, so it makes it even harder. And
yeah, that's interesting. Sorry, Sperber. Did you know that if you
let's just read the comment quickly.
Okay.
So just read the comment so everyone knows. So it's the same with people, volunteers running around in military clothing. They are legally combatants the moment they put these clothes on. Is that what you wanted to reply to? Okay, yeah.
Yes. So if you carry a plate carrier, a helmet, and you're wearing any form of camo, you are immediately classified as a combatant, irrespective if you wear, by the way, Dylan, a press badge or not. You know that?
Yeah, any camouflage. That's why I have to only wear black. I have to wear something that's explicitly neutral. Yeah. Explicitly neutral.
Must be. You can't even go to a form of khaki because that can be seen as a combatant clothing, because there's a connection with that, or military green like I'm wearing. Yeah. So it makes.
Can I put few words in this? Why you didn't say me?
Yeah, I was thinking. I was about to say. I was about to say,
again,
like, does Helena know this?
My lovey, you were with your husband. What?
Yes.
Because I know, so, Helena, you were telling me, you're like, you prefer to wear this because then it's quick past the checkpoints and everything. Now you're like, oh, wait, I'm a combatant.
No, but guys, listen, the Russians do not adhere to fuck all. Sorry for the word. So what are you talking about? Even if you walked in your normal clothes, like you are dressed now, they will still go for you guys. There's no such thing as place, like for instance, churches, you know, that under Yahweh, we're not allowed to bomb them. We're allowed to shoot only when you take fire from them, yeah? Active fire from them. So you guys must understand. And then people, now you can add the complexity of, you do not know if these three people approaching you are combatants or non-combatants, because the Russians use, and it's also, by the way, against the Geneva Convention to wear civilian clothes and be a combatant. It's a war crime. There's no two ways about it.
Yeah. So this topic for the stream was actually Zhenya's suggestion. And I was like, oh yeah, that's a good one to have. But then he mentioned that in some cases, you guys actually share your rations with the civilians. Like you will share your food because they don't have.
Yeah, so what we will normally do, obviously there's no running water, there's no electricity in that areas. Everything is blown to shit. So what we normally do is we try and establish a rapport with, and obviously we know where they are. Because if you go onto a thermal drone that's flying over a specific area, you can see their houses being heated and lights, not light, but candle light is open, and you can literally see the house glowing. So we know and we mark it. And then obviously for our operations, we make sure that we do not pass those houses very often unless we have to. Because you can imagine that the last thing you want is a surprise. So although visually we like to keep an eye on them, we try and maneuver not close to the proximities of them unless we don't have another option. And like I said, the previous area of operations where we used to walk past this lady's house every time we go in or out. And there was no, in that specific area, there was no other route that you could take with decent cover than this old lady's house, the babusha.
I actually want to read Sparber's comment here, talking about like the thing of military colors. Let's use the word colors, I guess. So he says there are two things that that makes him angry. The first is when you are not active military, have some respect for those serving and use that as an NCE dress code. And then secondly, he says many volunteers use military fatigue for cloud chasing and making up. They're in a danger zone, like a red zone. So I think that is probably also a risk that we have seen, is you have people who will put on camo or whatever. And it's also weird to kind of think that, just because I'm not based in Ukraine, right? So for me, like, it's just suddenly you have this, just everything that's camo is out, So yeah. Then Cheryl says, Russians are purposely defying Geneva Conventions. Putin says they don't apply to Russia quite openly. Very few people seem to listen to his statements and take them seriously. So on that, Cheryl, it was actually Timothy Snyder who, at the start of the full-scale invasion, made a comment where he said that, I think a few months into the full-scale invasion, where he said that Russia is committing so many acts. Okay, first of all, obviously, yes, they're committing so many acts, so many war crimes, but also so many acts of genocide, and both the intent part and the actual physical act, that they're kind of bombarding us with that. And then you're sitting there, you're like, wait, but it's happened so many times. So maybe you start to gaslight yourself, because they're like, but surely no one can be committing these things so often. No one is that evil. No one is like that. And then you basically kind of become desensitized to what you're seeing and to what Russia is doing, because at the end of the day, you end up being like, yeah, but it's Russia. What do you expect? So I think that also...
You can imagine, sorry, Dylan, for jumping. I see you want to also comment. You can imagine that each new guy that I need to get ready for the front line, I need to prepare for all these scenarios. I need to train them, I need to explain to them, and I need to make sure that they adhere to the EIR law. And you can imagine, it's 9 out of 10 guys tell me, but fuck, this is unfair. How are we fighting with one hand tied behind our backs? And my answer always to them is, remember one thing, that everything is seen. Everything is seen. None of it is not. So make sure that when you act appropriately and according to law, because the whole world is trying to look with magnification glass to see what our actions are. And I can guarantee you, if you did something and a Russian drone caught it, tomorrow you'll be on the #1 propaganda for Russia. That's just how it works.
Yeah. Right. Lynn, you want to say something?
Yeah, it's sometimes discombobulating to be going from the front line and seeing the atrocities there, and then seeing what gets popularly shared on social media. Like, I'm in Kherson and I see civilians get hit by drones. I see like old babushkas that have been torn to shreds, like very horrible, horrible stuff. But then when I look online, the videos that are like really popular in these, showing the terrors of drone warfare are not these strikes on civilians or not strikes on civilian infrastructure. It's largely soldiers hiding in dugouts or hiding in an outhouse or hiding somewhere, obviously scared because they're about to die, as anyone would be, about to be disabled as an active combatant. And there's a bunch of commentary about the horror of that, and that is something that should get a lot of attention, but it gets magnitudes more on social media and at least my purview from the civilians that are getting actively targeted in the human safari. And so I sometimes get taken aback from the moral outrage of, to what me seems to just be people finding out what war is, really, why war is bad, why you would want to generally avoid a war, why you'd want to not have it unless it's forced upon you. They're finding this out for the first time because most of them are sheltered. To Americans, war is something you do to other people. It's not something that is done upon you and then you have to see in your backyard. And so they're trying to deal with that realization balanced against these real atrocities that are getting lost through the cracks of public consciousness. And it's really, really infuriating.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, yeah, and it's always when you see that, and then at the same time, you see the news picking up on peace plan number 50, and that makes the headline, but not civilians being killed, right? And it's just that contrast between what's going on.
I had a laugh
And made
because
such a sorry.
No, shoot.
And it's made such a large transformation in such a short period of time. At the and I hate to make this about Trump, but at the start of the administration, if there was a big missile attack that was record breaking, there would be a statement from Trump where he would be like, I don't like that. Ooh, I don't like that, or something along the lines of this frowns negatively upon our negotiation process. Then we see huge strikes that are killing like dozens of civilians in apartment blocks just a couple of weeks ago, and there's not a statement, there's not a condemnation, there's not a comment, there's nothing, because after 10, 11 months, they got either bored of talking about it, it's no longer politically convenient to talk about it, or they think that, it's happened so many times now, they no longer have to acknowledge it. And so to me, there's been a pretty rapid transformation in even how they publicly talk about this from at least the American side of it in the last 12 months.
Yeah.
Yeah, listen, talking about politics. I just wish Americans can shoot better, but obviously they shoot like shit. Because then you wouldn't have been here. But anyway, at the end of the day, I would have loved just like a Pete Hegseth or Rubio is not that bad, but you know what? Woodcock, sorry for that, Woodcock, that one. I would have loved to just tell him, hey, bud, come just quickly for one day with me, just one day, and I will change your life. I will change your mind, and I will change your whole perspective on life, because that's our reality, day in, day out, day in, day out. I mean, he doesn't even have to go to the front line. He can come and visit me here. He can sit in front of my screen and just see reality. And I can tell you now, he will piss his pants, sorry for the word, definitely, to see what we have to face and what struggles we've got.
So someone please clip that and send it to Whitcoff. He has a personal invitation.
He's got an open invitation. The South African will show him what is life about. Yeah? Very, very, very quickly.
Really, I think when it comes to people like Steve Witkoff and Trump Circle and the inner fighting between, for example, he said Marco Rubio isn't that bad. He isn't that bad. He's not fantastic either. It's just in a room full of Steve Witkoffs, Marco Rubio is the most palatable person in the room when even he is saying stuff that's not that palatable. For example, we now see that one of the biggest voices that was supposed to be in favor of Ukraine, was supposed to be our Ukraine peace envoy, he's leaving in January. He was supposed to be seen as the person who is most in favor of Ukraine. He's literally tapping out. Steve Witkoff, I don't think this is somebody who could ever change his mind. I think you could drop him off in the center district of Pokrovsk for 24 hours, tied to a totem pole or something, and he would go right back to how he is, because he has no experience with the war. I don't think he has any care about the war. His main motivation with the war, from my perspective, is getting a cut for the United States as a real estate developer. That's the perspective he looks at it. So I think the best case scenario has to be these people getting blocked out or getting boxed out politically, which is something that sadly is outside my control.
Yeah, you know what? When your life flashes in front of you a couple of times in a short space of time, I promise you're going to get perspective very quickly. No matter what when money can't fix your problems, yeah, you will get perspective in life. I can promise you that. And when it comes to politics, and guys, we always come back to America. And you know what? I think we are giving so much airtime to America and all this shit that we're losing focus of the bigger picture. I'm being honest when I say that. I think people that is fighting propaganda is actually helping propaganda, because you must remember how social media works. It is through the shock value that you go and say, oh, but this person said that. But guess what? You've just spoken what that person said. Okay? So now all my viewers has listened what that person said, because I just spoke about it. The best that you can do, yeah, is not fucking talk about it. Because guess what? If you don't talk about it, it's not gonna go viral. That's just the way it is. That's life. That's how social media works.
Yeah, I think it's kind of that thing of countering propaganda without naming the lie, you know. So you just.
But Jana, if you listen to me, okay, if you think about this, by stating the propaganda, guess what you're doing? You're spreading it.
No, I'm saying you don't state the propaganda. So they say whatever, okay?
I mean,
and you actually just say, this is the truth. We're not saying let's say.
Yeah, but okay, so to put it in perspective, let me color in the picture, okay? We continuously speaking about America and all this shit, and Trump plan number 520, and Steve Witkoff, which is an arsehole, and wada. Okay, guys, we are keep moving the focus of Ukrainian soldiers that is dying in my front line. I lost 2 people yesterday, guys. That's reality, yeah? But we don't speak about that because we are so busy with shit that we forget why are we here and what do we need to focus on.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's my 5 seconds of ranting and raving. I had a very, very busy day and I sleep almost nothing, but I really, yeah. That's why we don't even watch any. Helene knows as well. There's a couple of things that I look at to get a general guideline of what's going on, but I have never watched a news channel in the last 2 years that I've been in Ukraine. I just don't do it. Not because of propaganda, not because of how they try to spin it. All I know is what Trump just said yesterday, which I don't know, has got no bearing on what the hell is happening on the front line for me. No bearing whatsoever. But the reality is my front line. The reality is me losing 3 vehicles in a week and a half. The reality is losing 6 guys in the last 2 weeks. That's my reality, guys. Let's talk about that. Let's push that. Let's get that out, yeah? And I can tell you, the white noise that is all over social media will start calming down. Why do you think Russia puts $1.8 billion into propaganda and spreading lies? Because the lies that they spread just continues and continues and continues and continues because everybody wants to say, oh, guess what? Russia's lying. Fuck, we all know they are a bunch of idiots and they are a bunch of liars and they chicken shit. We all know that. Why continue spreading it? Now I'm done. Sorry.
No, good rant. Thanks for the content. Yeah, I mean, you are in a very difficult space, difficult direction, and you're there. Our guys from 67th are there, and
37.
hmm?
Our 37, whom we also,
37 is also there.
yeah.
Oh,
they-
and 20 and
yeah.
25th. So all these guys who we help are in this direction. Like everyone's here, and then we have like 2 brigades in Izium, but the rest are all here. So it's really difficult when you know of these realities, know what is happening, and then, as you said, Viper, you see what is being talked about and reported on. I actually do want to bring us back to our main topic. And it is a bit of a difficult one. And it is the concept of żduni. So these are the people who are basically they're waiters. They are waiting for Russia to come. Ahalia, I remember like when 42nd was based up in Kharkiv, you went to visit, or Kharkiv direction, you went to visit and you told me about the house near them. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, it was graphic on the fence, on metal fence, huge Russian flag. It was like not just flag, but like some graphic designed by flags, by colors of flags. And I'm staggered for 5 days in this because in my brain it wasn't two places for understanding that here is my husband, here I am to talk with his guys in unit about psychology, about their mental health, and here are people right in next door who are like sitting and inviting and saying, look, we are here for you, dear orcs. So probably they wasn't there at the time when I was there. Yeah, their friends was there. Their home was there. But it just couldn't sit in my brain, all these ideas together. So I struggled in emotions for 5 days in combat.
Yeah.
Actually, every Friday I was working during the last 2 years in prison, women's building. And last year, one of floors of these 3 floors building was full of politician arrested women, yeah. And
Women.
where we invited people, sometimes we invited new people because new are coming, yeah, like to our groups of support for prisoners. This lady started to stop us and ask, why you are not inviting us? Why are not inviting us? My director, she started to speak with one of them, and in 30 seconds, she became so angry. She said, look, I'm just meet you. I'm speaking with you 1 minute, and I want to kick you. Do you think I can help you in our support group? I was stand there and just look of this person was bringing inside me so much hate that I just couldn't be here. I just couldn't.
Yeah.
We pay too huge, too big price for keeping our soldiers like as we can in to help them as we can. And my circle of all my friends, it's last year it's women's military women's, yeah, because it's I'm a participant of this group, and I was leading. I was one of facilitators of a group for military wives. And guess what? People want attention. People who betrayed us. People who like easy can betray our soldiers. So I know that Odessa is historically was very interested for Russian last 20 years for investigation for building here, for properties,
Investing.
business, investing in properties, port, um, several ports. So very interesting city, and like from all the side neighbors are like Russian friends, yeah, neighbors through the sea. And now our students, they are very quiet because they got pressure not from government, they have pressure from people who are on another side.
Yeah. Viper?
I see Sparva's question, so you can ask me
Yes,
that.
you can.
I will answer.
Okay, so Sparver wants to know what I would like to hear from Viper in one honest moment. What would you do about those refusing to leave when you'd be empowered to carry it out, and for what reasons exactly?
Very simple. I would take a black bag, put it over that babusha's head, tie her hands, load her in a vehicle, and get her the fuck out of our operational area. That's what I would do. By force. Because you know what? She's putting my guy's life at line. Yeah, her stubborn ass is putting my guy's life at line. Unnecessary. So I would literally do that. I would take them. I will probably be like an ICE agent in America at the moment. It seems like they've got the right attitude. Just grab and take her out. Not take her out respectfully. Take her, put her in a vehicle, and say to a babusha, you going to another place now. Sorry. That's what I would do.
I think, Dylan, from watching your documentary that you made on this, it was interesting because at one point, Dima and that friend of his who started, I forgot his name, but helped with evacuations, and then later this guy joined the military. They were having this conversation. It was interesting for me to see kind of the different approaches they have, where Dima is like, I can't judge these people who are staying, and his friend is in the military is like, no, they're waiting for Russia, you know. And I think that is, it's an interesting thing to kind of see, like the humanitarian mindset versus the military mindset. Is that something you've experienced as well, or like picked up on?
It depends on people's circumstances and where they come from. Certain people, depending upon where they were raised and their upbringing, might be more sympathetic. Dima, for example, he, as a kid, he was sent to a Russian-speaking school. Even though a Ukrainian school was closer to where he grew up, his parents explicitly sent him to the Russian-speaking school under the idea that one day you'll go to Moscow and become a big businessman, because Moscow is where all the big business happens and you make all the money, right? And so he has been surrounded by a lot of the people who have the mentality that could lead to people staying behind, or a lot of the justifications that could lead to people falling with the Russians, where people are like, well, I don't want to leave my house, so I might as well get with the people who seemingly are going to be taking over. Or, well, maybe if I'm more sympathetic to the new authorities, then I can get a back scratch outside of the cultural ties that can be around that. He is of the belief that no matter whether or not somebody is with the Russians, against the Russians, with Ukraine, against Ukraine, that they're all human beings and they should be helped. He looks at it from a very, very religious perspective, as he is somebody who has been religiously reformed, and he works through like Christian organizations. And most of the groups that continue to support these people in frontline communities are explicitly religious aid organizations. So these are people who feel compelled by God to go help all of God's children, and they view them in that sense. And so it's going to be very difficult to ever get these people who feel compelled by God, and in many cases protected by God. When you see the type of aid runs that these people are doing, where they've been hit 4, 5, 6 times by FPVs, and they continue to go out there and do this, versus the military's mindset, which is, of course, my priority is to keep my men alive. If you're stationed next to me, you're restricting our area of operations. You're restricting where we can go hide. You're making us have to consider your safety when we should only be considering our own safety when facing the worst horrors of 21st century warfare, which of course is a military man's focus. And it's not like they have necessarily even disdain for the people around them. Some of them, due to how they behave, just being frank, I can understand a certain amount of disdain from the military man's perspective, but it's just they don't want to be the reason they got hurt, and they don't want them to be a reason they got hurt. So just remove them from the situation. And so that's why a lot of military men I speak to, their position is mandatory evacuations, door to door, move them out of there so we can use this area, this urban settlement, this village, wherever it is, as a defensive position if we're going to be stationed here outside of a tree line. If it's going to be an area where civilians can get hurt, remove them from the situation, especially since, of course, there's also the problem with spotters for the Russian armed forces, which is something that has happened on multiple occasions, not only with locals, but even sometimes with foreigners, where there was at least, I know at least one example where an American was actually, the village was taken over and he was doing spotting for the Russian army. As I don't know if he was saying he was a journalist, or I think he was saying he was an aid worker. Yes, that was the claim.
Yeah, I was aid worker, I think, yeah.
Aid worker.
We have this choice in PK in 2023. It was like, okay, we were doing humanitarian aid job. We were part of delivering system, like London Bakhmut, way. And then suddenly became more in communication with 93, I think, brigade. Our guys understood, as long as we are providing these people, as long as they will stay. So to whom
That's reality.
To whom we are helping by doing this? And PK started evacuate Bakhmut. Was very familiar because Tanya's mom was there, so she started evacuation in Bakhmut from her family, and they did this then in Bakhmut, around Bakhmut area, and then it also became not enough, and in such way we became medical evacuation service, and then going to contract in 67. So it was like changing of mind, what is necessary, what have to be done, what is better, and more big goal became more value than small things. Yeah, common goal of military, of Ukrainian, to protect and to save this area from orcs was more possible without civilians there. So it wasn't like we rejected to help to them. No, it just more value a goal to fight for this territory.
Yeah, I remember.
And we lose a lot of donators actually, because it's not very understandable. It was not very understandable. Now it's more clearly understandable because not just we were speaking. Yeah. So
yeah, I remember Pete was explaining it quite a way back. He was explaining it that he was. It was during this time when they were doing evacuations in Bakhmut, and the guy who was driving said that all these people, like, yes, humanitarian aid is important and all of that, but if you do not support the military, very soon you will not be able to help those civilians, because they will either be killed or this village will fall under Russia. And that was kind of like, I know Pete and I spoke about it, and he said for him that was a big shift. That conversation he had was a big shift for him to be like, okay, he's helping military now. And yeah, Halina's right. We did have some backlash from donors who no longer wanted to be involved because they don't want to support the military. And it's a problem, but it's thankfully we are able to still continue our work thanks to all our donors. Yeah, let me just read chat a bit because I am a bit behind.
Sorry, guys, I am here. I'm just vaping quickly. It's been a long day.
So, Halia, Andreas wants to know, do you think villagers would accept forced evacuations?
Oh, no way! Come on, to fight with Ukrainians. Not very simple idea. Yeah, it would be nice. Yeah, I wish to our country have programs for giving home to people who need help.
Yeah.
It's difficult question what to do with these people then, because yeah, in beginning of the war, everyone want to run, and they were run to the first school is in next region of them. Yeah, now school is school. Now school is giving schooling to children. Yeah, it's not like a life stopped. And what 4 years after programs go down for taking care about people. And I know from my friends, and the first response which you can hear from civilians, who is waiting for me there? And there it's where it's where actually where, and it's difficult. It's I don't want to say it's true. Probably no one will like let die for us, but it's not also easy. For example, in my church we have foundation, and first year this foundation was serving 900 families a month, almost 1,000 families a month for refugees with food. Now it's 90. Yeah, because no possibilities, no donations. So we understand that, yeah, as you guys said, for active people, for people who can start the life from new page, it's understandable, and it's understandable. We can start in another place to build our life, and it will take 1 2 years, and we will do it. But for people after 50, I wanted to say after 45, and I reminded that I'm 40. So after 50 is not so easy, and I don't have answer to them. When I was visiting Kherson, I was asking what I do there. We were going there in the first line from river, and we were doing this humanitarian aid very quickly because to stay there more than 20 minutes was dangerous. Yeah, first, second, third street from river, because it's like it's in visibility of just physical visibility, not from drones, just. So every car moving in first line was already like a marker that something interesting is going on in this Ukraine side. So I didn't have answer to these people when they asked me, and who is waiting for me there? I didn't have answers. What? I'm just very
Yes,
sad.
Dylan.
A lot of these people are in their 80s or in their 70s. They're very elderly. The people who definitely stay the longest, and they don't have much family. And they've lived in this place for 80 years, and they haven't left within 100 kilometers. And now they're expected to move to Kiev, where rent's going to be much more than anything they ever paid in their home village, where maybe they got given their house by their parents. It got passed down in the family. We have no clue. And are they going to be able to bring their goats? Are they going to be able to bring all of the stuff that are their actual assets, the physical assets, which has allowed them to sustain themselves? Or are they going to have to adapt to a totally new way of city living, where they're not going to be able to, use their chickens and goats and whatever to sustain themselves, and their $100, $150 pension is barely going to be, if that, enough to pay their rent. And is there going to be anybody to sustain them? There's some aid organizations, but a lot of that money is also drying up with time. And the Ukrainian government budget is under immense stress. I mean, the reason the 90 billion got approved is part of the reason was past April there would be no money. And so these people are waiting in many instances. When they say, like, who's waiting for us, they literally are asking, like, who in my family? I don't have anybody waiting for me back home, or who's going to support me? If they do have some family, or do they have the money to support them? And so this is a conversation, especially with the elderly that stay behind, that is very frequent. I also do want to say that the majority of people I would not even just say the majority of people who stay behind, but even the majority of people I would classify as waiters probably end up leaving once it really gets rough. A lot of times people have this idea that the way this will happen is the Russian army will come in, and then like 1 or 2 days, the city will be taken over, and then, the war will continue on elsewhere. They don't expect 12 months of a grinding warfare through block by block, home by home, as they're huddled underground and there's no way to get water, food, etc. They have a very different idea in their head of how it's going to go. And then once it reaches that point and they call for evacuation, it's too late. There's no aid worker in the world that's going to go to Central Pokrovsk right now to pick up your grandma. I'm sorry, it's just not going to happen. Okay, well, Viper. There's Viper.
No, then it becomes our problem. That's the reality.
Exactly. And so it ends up becoming a military problem. And so people who should, again, they already have to worry about them being in proximity to them. They now have to figure out an evacuation plan. They got to figure out X, Y, and Z. Or it ends up going to and I hate to put it this way, the people who are a little off their rocker, the crazy aid workers who would yes, I'll cross the lines, I'll go back and forth, I'll do whatever is necessary, who have survived to this point in part by luck.
But which also makes our job extremely difficult, because they get stuck sometimes, and then guess who needs to fucking go and fetch them? Sorry, personal experience once.
Okay, tell us.
They went in to go and evacuate immediately. Their vehicle broke down. So guess who had to then go and fetch them and the babushas they were supposed to evacuate? And one of them got killed. That's reality. Now you need to understand, a problem of 2 babushas became an aid run of 4 people. It's not so easy to move 4 people in this war with drone fare. Sorry.
I'll also say the way that these aid runs are sometimes conducted, and the behavior of some of the people involved, and that's not to say that, of course, there's a lot of good people who have stayed behind. There are people, but there are also people who are drunkards. There are also people who don't look after the safety of their children, and there are also people who are said, okay, yes, I'll go, and then the aid workers come and never mind. They last second, they take a step back, and these types of interactions wear down aid workers. It breaks them down, and it makes it so they're less likely to continue this type of aid work, because every single run is risking their lives. I've seen these people do evacuations with people actively having strokes. They get hit by FPVs and they have to keep going. It's extremely dangerous work, and this type of conduct, especially with it getting so dangerous in places like Konstantinivka right now, it's just not worth it for a lot of them anymore. And that's why it ends up becoming the military's burden, because what man is going to leave some old woman's life being snuffed out on their conscience? No one would like to.
It's
I think sorry,
if you are one of those crazy ones, please find out which unit are operating in that area, and please let them help you to get those people out. Please. Luckily, the cowboy days are over. I can tell you that now. It's not 2023 anymore. If you move, I'm not talking about a town that's in FPV range of 15 kilometers. There's still access to that. I mean, if you want to go to Central Pokrovsk, please don't. Just rather communicate with the right brigade that's in that area. and tell them this babusha has finally given herself to God and she wants to come out. And let them do the evacuation, because we are trained, we understand, we've got information, we've got tools that we can use to do it as safely as possible. Tools that's not accessible to a civilian, for instance. Just saying.
Yeah. I think, and that's what makes this topic so difficult, is there is no easy solution to this.
Mm-hmm.
There's no perfect answer.
There's no perfect answer to this, and that is one of the many harsh realities of war. And it is this civilian cost, or the impact it has on civilian lives, and what those lives have on the military. And it's kind of this Viper, bose kringloop?
Vicious cycle.
There we go. Of just, there's no way to solve this. I mean, because on the one hand, if Viper, if you guys were able to go in and just pick people up and move them, we know how that's going to get spun in the news.
Yeah,
right?
no.
And that's going to be a
they
whole
will have a
different thing.
field day with that, for sure.
Absolutely. So there is no answer for that. There is no quick fix or easy fix for this, and that is the sad thing. It sounds weird to just call it sad, but it's the reality.
That's the reality for us.
Yeah. It's I don't know.
And guys, I know I said, sorry, before you jump in, I said, yeah, we would like to just put a bag over and zip tie them and bring them out. But at the end of the day, yeah, we human, we feel, irrespective of who they are. It was somebody's grandma, it was somebody's mother, it was somebody's dad. You guys must understand that it makes choices for us very difficult. It's not an easy choice. It's never been.
A lot of times I think about it through who's the most difficult person in my family. You know, if I was a government official and my job was to go get them to be compliant with whatever government order it was, who'd be the most difficult person? And I think to some of my family in West Virginia who lives up in the hills, who's like, well, you know, this is my mountain, you know, you're not going to mess with my goddamn mountain, you know, that type of framing. And I think a lot of people get trapped, and I think definitely somebody who's 70, 80 years old, they get trapped. And this isn't speaking to everybody, but I think there is a type of person who get trapped in the rhythm of life to the point where, you know, they want to go out and they want to go water those flowers. And that to them is the most important thing in the entire day, is watering those flowers, is going in their backyard and taking care of those cucumbers, going and feeding those stray dogs or the stray cats or those stray animals. And so the idea of being uprooted from that is the most offensive thing imaginable to them. So they're just going to stay here and that's going to be it. And that, of course, is not considerate of everybody around them. But those people have existed in people's families. Probably people can think of somebody in their life that cares about that and would live through that and do everything they would want to continue to do those things. Everybody can at least sympathize with that and want to make sure that these people are okay. But we can't make it so that we're, you know, these people cannot act in a suicidal nature towards themselves or the people around them, of course. So we need to treat people with care.
They're gonna die on their own. I can guarantee you that. My guys will just say, "Okay, Babusha, sorry, nice to have seen you," because at the end of the day, they need to protect each other. That's the brotherhood that we've got. I just want to do a shout out to Rational Catholic. He's actually one of my soldiers that's returned home. Dix, I hope you're keeping well, my brother. And yeah, tough times, but we're still here, still fighting.
Yeah, Dylan, I think you make a good point, because I was also thinking about it. I'm like, which one of my relatives would it's like the most difficult. And I'm thinking here, I'm like, it would have been my late grandmother. She would have been like, good luck with that woman, you know. It's and then I try to think of, you know, yeah, like I said, I don't think there is an answer. Yeah. So I usually tell you guys that it's only an hour stream because I know everyone is busy. Halina is probably going to fall asleep soon. And Viper, you probably also want to go to bed or continue working a bit more. So on that, are there any... So that being said, if there are any last questions that you guys want to ask, please pop them in chat. Then also, just once again, a reminder of our fundraiser that we have. It is a vehicle for Vipers, guys. And then we have a request from Third Assault, and then we have more requests. So yeah, if you guys are able to donate, please do so. Yeah, and then any other things you want to add?
I do want to add to the people watching, it is the season of giving. You know, if there was ever a season to do it, one for the holidays.
Yeah, that's actually a good point, because up until Christmas, if you donate, your email receipt will contain a link to our Christmas cards that you can send to people. So if the person is pro-Ukrainian, we have a version for a Christmas card for them. If they are pro-Russian, we also have a Christmas
Shoot
card
them.
for them.
Oh, not. Okay, sorry.
We can't do that. I can't do that. I'm sorry. We do not offer that service. And if they told you to go fight, we also have a Christmas card for them. If you donate via PayPal, please just message me on our Discord that I can send you the link, because PayPal won't let me send you an actual link in the messages for it. Yeah, so we do have Christmas cards, and one of my friends actually made... So I designed them all as like e-cards, but then one of my friends designed like a version that you can print and make a nice little letter with. So I will upload that as well if someone wants to do like a fancy print version. Yeah, so Halinoch, anything you want to add?
Yeah, I want to say thank you to Carlito, because 2 days ago I said, Yana, I can't understand what's going on X, on Twitter. I don't see any nothing. Where are my supporters? Nothing. I post no any reactions. Said, Galia, you miss 1 year of life. What are you looking for in X? You have to open your blue sky and like if there are people there, because we have more than 7,000 of supporters there. I'm like, okay, I will find what the app is this in my phone. So
You
and
call
I
it
started
Blueski.
Blueski, yeah. So I started to post something just to remind that I'm here and we are doing something very special still. And Carlita started supporting me there. So thank you. I hope that we will remind people that PK is no day off to stop for job. Yeah, but actually, I don't understand all algorithm. What's happened with Snafu community? Why people are? Why our friends also have so low rate of visibility? I checked our friends because come on, is it just our problem or it's general problem? And it's sad story. We still need to do what we are doing. We still need to support our fighters. And it's became heavy and heavy and heavy in needs because technique is firing under drones. And I just want to say thank you for everyone who is supporting us, and please donate if you didn't support us before. So I hope you will. It's not support us, but support our fighters and defenders.
Yeah. Viper, anything? That's good speech, Halinoch.
Oh, thank you. Boss.
Yeah, Viper, anything you want to add?
Yeah. Just want to say we speak about a very sensitive subject tonight, and that's truly reality for us as ZSU. But guys, I can also tell you, and we doomed and gloomed a lot on what reality is for us. But I can also tell you this: we were at a coffee shop in a town very close to the Frontline, and a random woman bought me a coffee and said to me, "Hey, can I give you a hug? Thank you. I can hear you're a foreigner. What are you? Thank you for being here and helping us, helping me and my family." I mean, and it's not an isolated instance. I was in Kharkiv busy buying medicine for the guys on the line, and a random Ukrainian babusha came, started crying, and said to me, "Thank you so much. I can hear you, a foreigner. Thank you for coming to help us." I mean, guys, there is so much more good moments, blessed moments that keeps us going. It gives us the energy. It gives us the willingness to continue fighting. And it's not an isolated instance. It happens a lot. And so on that note, please help us to continue fighting. I know everybody is not able to come here and fight, but your donations are literally saving my guy's life. Fundraising for vehicles. I know everybody says, "Oh, yeah, go to NAFO or go to one of those companies that does this." You guys must remember that there is queues. There is the need is there, but it's not only our need. It is so many guys' needs across 1,200 kilometers of Frontline. And it was always easy. If it was like 50 kilometers, it would have been very easy. We could have handled the war completely different. But I mean, that's our reality. And yes, they do get preference. We get preference because we're in a Procross area, but it is so difficult to get into that run of mill. And like I say, it's not like we are buying Land Cruiser 100s, guys. It's not the reality for us. For us, it's just something that is reliable. I mean, PK helps us sometimes with services or things that breaks, but most of the vehicles are fixed by the guys' salaries. Mostly my salary now that I think about it, but it's okay. But that is our reality, and I always get the question that why you guys don't the ZSU give you like armored vehicles? Yes, they do. We've got a nice, pretty looking Kazakh that's standing in hidden somewhere. But I can guarantee you the day that we start that thing and it's not either raining at 400 liters per second, if they see that, they will not stop. They will not stop. They are, I said, they are liars and they are cowards. But I can promise you, they also, their endurance are there. They don't stop. So, yeah, that's our reality. And for all the guys that's donating, I mean, I see so many guys here, Tony and them, all of the guys. Thank you for being with us for such a long time. Being the festive season, I pray that you guys have a good time, have good rest, spend good time with your family, because it's important. Family is important, and hopefully we can get a lot of snow so that we can also have a little bit of a break. It's been a very long summer and the weather is not holding. So yeah, it's rough and it's difficult at the moment. But we're here, and every day we wake up, and I can promise you it's not Trump giving us the energy. It's the Ukrainian people and the amazing people that they really are. That's it from us.
Dylan?
I do want to emphasize that the need for vehicles, trucks is immense. It's not as simple as like you walk up to one of these aid groups that I see they have vehicles, they post it on social media, everybody needs them. And the loss of these vehicles is immense. It's just not the need is immense because the loss is immense. They're used for resupply missions. They're needed for anytime there's a rotation. They're needed to bring anybody that gets hurt back from the front or from a one point to a stabilization point so they can get helped, and from there be transported by an ambulance to a hospital. And so these are used all the time. And if you're a soldier driving to the front and you're carrying, like, I don't know, 2 crates of mortars or something, and you see that you're going to get hit by a drone, you want to give that soldier the confidence that if they have to, they can jump out of that truck, it can be disposed of, and they know that they can get another vehicle that they can rely on, because that type of stuff happens all across the front all of the time. And so it is an immense need. It is a constant need every month. So it's not as simple as going to one of these big fundraisers from one of the big social media names or one of the big groups like NAFO. So, truck fundraisers like this really do help a lot of the lesser known units or units who don't already have a means to provide that for themselves get by. They really do. Besides that, I just hope that everybody continue to support Ukraine, continue to boost Ukraine. The majority I'm an American, so of course I speak mostly from a Yank perspective. The majority of Americans support Ukraine, and the majority of Americans, most for the entirety of the war, thinks we should send weapons to Ukraine at this point right now. And that's because they've seen the failure. They were told 24 hours, and it's been a goddamn year. And you can't explain away that type of absolute pathetic national embarrassment failure. And so they want to do something, but that's just because we have the polling number doesn't mean that turns into aid or that turns even into donations. The algorithm is not your best friend. The algorithm does what benefits the algorithm. And so while the majority of Americans might support Ukraine, and they'd obviously the political pathway to aid right now is more than difficult, that doesn't stop them from donating, and that doesn't stop people from trying to make sure that even if the algorithm is working against them, pushing up that rock like Sisyphus to do the best you can to get people the support that they need.
Yeah. I agree with all of you. I do want to say thank you for Nikki, who donated £40. And then I just want to, for those of you who are not on our newsletter, I posted this on our YouTube community tab as well, but we got a message on Wednesday from a soldier in the 2nd company of the 156th Mechanized Brigade, and we bought them Starlink, Fossibot, like a power station, a generator, motor oil, and the shop gave them a vacuum cleaner as well.
Handle vacuum cleaner.
Yeah, handheld vacuum cleaner.
1 hryvnia.
For 1 hryvnia.
I said, oh, it's very value in trenches,
Yeah, that is consists of sand, yeah. Just for the record, I must just say that out loud.
But this soldier was wounded quite a few months ago, actually. Mm-hmm. And then on Wednesday, he sent Halina a message that said, I don't know if I mentioned it, but thanks to what you sent back then, we stayed in contact with the evacuation team that took me to a stabilization point. So it turns out that you and the foundation saved my life.
Yeah.
So guys,
he was heavy. 6 months as he was trying to fix his health after injuries.
So I want to say thank you for everyone who supports Ukraine and who donates and who shares and all of that. And for it's thanks to you that we are able to help people like these guys. Halina calls it our grandfather brigade because they're all on the older side. But yes, so thank you so much to everyone. And yes, I agree with Carlito. Also go watch Dylan's documentaries. It's good. And yeah, Dylan, thank you so much for being here.
Happy to be here. If you ever need me back, I'll be happy to come again.
Perfect. Awesome. And yeah, okay. Awesome, guys. Have a good evening. If you have evening.
And thank you
Bye-bye.
to our moderators.
Yes. Thank you to everyone and our moderators, of course. Yes. Thanks,
Yeah,
guys.
you're awesome.
Okay, bye.